Welcome to Eye on Parenting. Today's topic, helicopter parents. You know, the parents who hover around their kids, seem just a little bit overprotective. My co-host Molly Wood from CNET.com and I are joined this morning by Dr. Robyn Silverman, who's a specialist in adolescent and child development. So you can let us know what all that helicopter parenting will do to our kids. Good to have you back with us.
Thank you. Great to be back.
Tell us, if you hear the term around, sort of buzzing around a lot. What really is, though, helicopter parenting?
A helicopter parent is somebody who hovers around their child and swoops in at a moment's notice whenever they see their child in any distress, discomfort, or even having a little bit of a challenge, even if it's really not appropriate.
And this isn't just little kids learning how to do something, you want to help them out. This goes all the way up through college.
Oh, past
Beyond.
college. It goes into the work world now. It's a very scary thing.
Into the work world?
Absolutely. It goes into the work world. We've had people call us and check in on their children and say, this one's going to be sick. We hear about employers getting really frustrated because parents are checking in on interviews. It's a really bad problem.
For a number of reasons. Wow. So it is essentially, I mean, it comes across as a very negative thing. I imagine it can, if you're calling and checking up on your kid's job interview, they're probably not likely to get the job.
Yeah, how can that be good for them?
No, it isn't good for them, but we've set a precedent throughout their lives. A helicopter parent isn't just diving in at college or after. It's something that's going to be starting very early and going all the way up.
And is it always a negative thing? I mean, there must be some level of protection that is okay for
Well, of
parents.
course. Our job as a parent it's to protect, right? We are supposed to protect our children, but we also are supposed to teach our children how to stay safe, how to protect themselves. And there's a line between protection and overprotection. Protection is something that a child needs, and overprotection is what a parent might need to feel okay.
So then how do you know where to draw the line, or if you're approaching that line? Are there certain things that we can look for as parents?
Sure. I mean, if we are feeling like we're constantly checking in on our child, checking up on our child, calling our child, we're probably crossing a line. If we are feeling anxious all the time, worried all the time, we're wondering what they're doing. We're doing the who, what, where, when, why all the time. What is it that you're doing? Who are you going to be with? When are you going? What are you going to wear? This is a lot of overprotection, overbearing.
It's making me anxious.
I know. I feel
things.
exhausted trying to imagine parenting like that. Like, oh.
Yes, it is exhausting.
So then how do you dial it back? Because it is that natural instinct to want to help, to want to protect your child.
Right. Well, we have to think about it this way. You want to coach your child as a conflict coach rather than being a problem solver. And one way that you can do that is to ask really powerful questions. Ask them to help come up with solutions, even as they're young. Teach them about brainstorming. Teach them about negotiation, pros and cons. Teach them how to think so they can do it on their own.
So something even as simple, this makes me think, we were at a play date yesterday, and my son and his friend were sort of fighting over a toy, and his friend was just sort of, which is exactly what my son does, sort of whining and kind of pulling it back. Right. And his friend's mom said, he doesn't know what you mean. You have to use your words to tell him why you're upset. Is that a good example of?
Oh, that was absolutely fine, because instead she could have said, he wants you to give him the toy, which is speaking for the child. Instead, you're prompting your child, your young child, and then that child can take that as they get older, and they can come up with their own words, and they can come up with their own cues and realize what they need to do to develop those skills.
And they won't have to have mom or dad call about their job interview.
No,
exactly, because you know, I'm thinking that bosses don't like that.
No, I'm thinking that bosses don't like it, colleges don't like it, teachers at schools complain to me that children have parents that are doing that, calling them on the cell phone, emailing them, texting them. It's a problem.
We got some viewer questions actually from Facebook, people who were wondering about this phenomenon. One person, Ari, said, is there a difference between boys and girls as to how they react to being hovered over?
Well, I wrote about a lot of this on my website, and the comments are very telling. So the kids are commenting, and the girls are very emotional. They're extremely long-winded. I mean, there are essays there about what their parents are doing and how it's so unfair and how they're just lashing out and getting extremely upset. But they're also very protective of their parents. They don't want to hurt their feelings. So that sounds like a girl. The boys tend to be more closed-mouthed. They're very frustrated, but they're also willing to just walk out the door. They're willing to go MIA. So that's really the difference between the boys and the girls.
And then this is another Facebook question, is there a certain age at which the child just becomes rebellious and says, look, you need to back off, or does that never happen because they're so conditioned?
Well, no, as a teen is growing, it's very normal for them to individuate. So that child is going to be more likely to lash out, to lie, to sneak around. It might not be so overt. It might not be, you're in my face, back off. It might just be, I'm going to Mary's house, and then she's off doing what you don't want her to be doing.
Which is interesting because that's the exact opposite, I think, of what most parents would imagine they get out of this. They figure, I'm so involved in your life, I'll know everything, you'll want me around.
No, but it's still normal for a teen to want to become independent, so they're going to do it in any way that they can.
Right, and maybe even more strongly
Absolutely.
if the parent is too protective.
We hear about that, right, in college when the children have been so protected that they just wind up going
crazy.
Yeah. Girls gone wild, so
A few of them lived on my floor freshman year.
Absolutely. I think we all understand that.
And speaking of which, this April Jones-Cole says, my children are 9 and 11. Both of the umbilical cords haven't been cut yet, and I think I'm going to need to be sedated when they leave for college. Is it wrong to be like this, is what she wants to know at this point.
Clearly, this parent really cares about her children. She loves them. But what she's doing at the same time is building anxiety, guilt, and shame. Guilt when the children are even thinking about leaving. Shame if they do choose to leave. And she's not preparing them then to leave. What she's sending is a profound message that says, if you leave me, I will not be okay. And that's a very upsetting thought for a child, and it's not letting them let go in a very healthy way. This parent needs to be talking to other parents about how to let go.
Well, hopefully this parent is listening to your advice this morning.
I hope so.
Dr. Robyn Silverman, thanks for being here. Molly Wood, as always.
Hello, I'm Kara Tsuboi for CNET.com with this week's Eye on Parenting demo. One way to keep from feeling anxiety over what your kids are doing is to stay organized. Don't sit around wondering where they are. Use a family calendar to make sure you're all aware of what everyone is up to. There are a lot of tools for this from a number of different companies, all available on the web. And one of them, the Outlook Social Calendar from our sponsor, Microsoft. Outlook lets you share calendars and see multiple calendars at once. And this social connector piece integrates with Facebook and MySpace. So if your kids are willing to let you be their Facebook friends, you can see their shared activities that way too. Now, I know it feels like you're monitoring them more than ever if you're looking at their calendars and Facebook feeds, but if you agree as a family that you'll share this information, hopefully it'll keep you, mom and dad, from worrying about where they are all the time. Don't call them, just check Facebook. Good rule. For Eye on Parenting, I'm Kara Tsuboi for CNET.com in San Francisco.